welcome to ECCB Connects. This week we'll be discussing the important topic of preparing for retirement. Stay with us, we'll continue in a moment.
ECCB Digital Dialogues. The COVID-19 pandemic has highlighted the importance of the availability and access to safe and nutritious food. ECCB Digital Dialogues. Joint Governor of the ECCB, Timothy N.J. Antoine, the Honorable Minister of Agriculture in the Government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Sabuto Caesar, farmer and retired agricultural officer from Grenada, Teresa Maricho, and entrepreneur farmer from St. Kitts and Nevis, Daniel Arthurton, in a discussion on pandemic and food security as they explore the opportunities to revitalize agriculture and make it sustainable. ECCB Digital Dialogues, Thursday, 10th September, 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. on the ECCB Connects Facebook page and your local radio stations. ECCB Digital Dialogues. Join the conversation as we take collective action to transform our region now.
Thank you for staying connected with us. This week I have with me Tarlie Francis, former Senior Manager, Market Operations at the Eastern Caribbean Securities Exchange. Mr. Francis is now retired and is volunteering as a financial planner. Mr. Francis, welcome to ECCB Connect.
Thank you very much, Shamalan. Thank you for having me, and greetings. Hello to all the viewers and listeners.
Okay. You have transitioned into what I will call the fun part of life, retirement, albeit early. How has that been going for you?
Well, early retirement for me was, let's say, it was hijacked by COVID. So much of my plans in the first months were just now changed. And nonetheless, though, being prepared is important. And as I was prepared, I was able to still transition into early retirement. In fact, I left on the 31st of March, just when COVID strangled the world. So it has been going well. I'm fine. I'm quite okay, and a lot of interaction with my friends. A lot of them asking questions about retirement and preparation, and I guess that is what brings us to this discussion as well.
Yes, I'm happy that you, despite what has been happening with COVID, that you are enjoying your retirement. So yes, we're going to speak about being prepared for retirement. And the question is often asked, when should one start preparing for retirement?
As early as possible, Sharon, as early as possible. It is not too early to prepare at 25, it's not too late to prepare at 45, but as early as possible. And the reason is that you are having, during your active, healthy years, the opportunity to earn an income and to create wealth for yourself, which you will not have or will be less able to do after you are in retirement. So the earlier you start is the better. And the second reason is that as early as you start, it means more time you have for accumulating and for building wealth.
So you spoke about starting early and accumulating wealth, which of course will require savings or even investment. When we speak about saving for retirement, is this the same as your general saving?
We save for many reasons. We save so that we'll have money in case of an emergency, for example. We save because we want to prepare for the education for our children, for example. So there are many reasons for savings. Retirement saving is a special or specific purpose of savings. In this case, we are actually putting aside money for the period when we will not be able to earn an income on a consistent monthly and annual basis. And in those times, we don't want to be a burden on others. We want to be able to cover our expenses, the regular consumption expenses, as well as medical expenses, etc. And so the savings for retirement is a savings over and above such savings as the one for emergency fund or for education fund for children, etc.
Tarlie, you spoke about savings, and we know that to build what we call a nest egg, we can get involved in saving and investment. Now, in terms of investing for retirement, how does this work?
Right. Now, this is a key thing that we have to ensure we manage well, because investment is putting money into some form of productive use, which would mean putting it into a company so that you buy shares and you can receive dividends, or even capital gains. The shares can increase in price and you sell it. Investment could also mean you purchase a property because you want to rent it out, or you purchase vehicles to rent a fleet of vehicles. Investment could be buying bonds of governments or of companies as well. Now, the difference between investments and savings is that the framework for saving is that we're putting aside money that will always be at our reach. Nobody has any right to use it, except in the way in which banks do, but it is your money and you have it there all the time. You have not put it into anybody's use for returns. In the case of investment, you take a risk because you are actually putting your money into ventures that may succeed or may fail, companies that may succeed or may fail, stock markets that may crash or may be very volatile. So the investment part of it, two things happen. One is that when we buy annuities, or like people in the States, they buy Roth IRAs and so, what you do is that you invest it in some group plan where someone else is managing the money for you. That is an investment which can lose value or can gain in value depending on what's happening in the market and how efficient the managers are. So when we say investment or investing for retirement, it really should be that we are converting some of our savings into investment. Okay. And how much you convert into investment is important. And that's why it's good to speak with your financial advisors, your financial planner, your insurance person, your accountant, so that you don't do too much of the risk taking and too little of the proper saving.
The long and short of it, though, is that we have to prepare financially for retirement, whether it's by savings or by investments, through investments. Question is, how much is enough? How much should a person save or invest now to prepare for retirement?
Let's say, for example, let me try to use the first thing you need to do. Let's say, for example, you expect to retire at let's suppose you expect to retire at, say, 65 years. You should have the target that you know what year you want what age you want to retire at. Then let's say, in addition to that, you know how long you would be in retirement. Well, the way in which you would know that is that you will estimate, my grandmother lived for 100 years, my uncle died at 89, and so you keep going, and you in your experience, I am healthy. I mean, I don't abuse alcohol or something like that. I have no terminal illness. I think I will live until I am 90. A lot of people don't like to
100.
Let's suppose you say your life expectancy.
You're going to make some people scared now, thinking that they can only go up to 90.
No. I mean, you could put 100 there, We just choose a number.
Okay.
For a person like me who doesn't have longevity in my family. But what this means is 90 years, you will retire at 65. You actually have 25 years.
Yes.
That you be in retirement. It's important to have this sort of thought pattern, because that tells you how many years you need to be providing for when you will not be working, but you will be alive. So if we say retirement savings, we say retirement savings should be helping us to be able to live in retirement at 25 years, yes? Now,
and to live comfortably.
To live comfortably. Now, that's a good word. How do we determine what amount of money we need to live comfortably? The way in which we do that in the industry, the personal finance segment of the financial industry, is that we take the salary that you would earn at retirement, and we estimate that at that standard of living, for you to continue in retirement comfortably, you would need a percentage of that salary in order to be comfortable. So the rule right now, really, generally, again, it changes the person, is that we take about 70%. Suppose right now you're working for 80,000 and you think you're 45 years, you think that when you get promotion, salary increases, at the end of the day, at 65, you should be working for, let's say, $96,000. It's not bad, right? It's like
a year.
So per year,
right?
Per annum. So this is not bad. This is like $8,000 per month. So let's suppose you would be working like $8,000 a month. So what we do is that we work out what is 70% of $96,000 per year, or 70% of $8,000 per month, right? And that tells us how much money on average per month during 25 years that you would need. Yes? Yeah? Let's, for argument's sake, say that this was really coming back to say 60,000, right? So say if 70% of my salary at retirement was $60,000 per year, that is about $5,000 per month I would need in retirement. Now that is not far-fetched. I can tell you right now I'm in retirement. First month has gone, there is COVID, there's not all the parties, I couldn't travel and so on, but I can feel it. 5,000 is not an unrealistic figure for a lifestyle person who's an employee in a decent job and so on to expect during the year. But imagine if you have $60,000 as the average you would need per year, and you would live for 25 years, 60,000 times 25. 25 years, your years in retirement, which is this. This is already $1,500,000 you would need to be able to have during all the years that you've been in retirement. But you
need to have that amount at the time of retirement. You have to have that saved or in investment.
So you need to have the ability to use this partly from what you have already, and partly from what, because once you continue living, if you had investments, you will continue to generate returns from your investments.
Right. Yes.
But but where you get this from, really, what you've used to cover that $1,500,000, you then have, remember, Social Security. You have Social Security, you will get some funds from that. You also have pension plan.
Okay.
Some people have pension plan. And for those who would have done some investment, you also have other income, your investment income, to make it up.
Okay.
Now, Sherman, it's quite possible that from Social Security, you only get 13% of the 5,000. From your pension plan, maybe you get a further, I would call it 15, just being adventurous, but some plans are well managed, so it could be 25 or 24%. And if you were investing along the way, then maybe you have a 20% from here. 5 and 3 is 8, 2, 3, 4, 48. So that means you actually have savings would now have to cover the difference between 48% of what you will get from Social Security, from your pension plan, and from any investments you would have done, whether it's investment in a house, investment in bonds, whatever. And then you have to get the rest from there.
Okay.
So it seems to me that like about would that be 52? 52% of the money you need in retirement should come from your savings. For some people, it would be more. For some people, it would be less. And so the amount you need, you know that you need in retirement, that's the first point that's important, which is the 5,600 as we calculated, or 5,000 if you had 60,000 per year. And the savings part of it would be after you minus what you would expect from Social Security. I also help people work out how much you will get from Social Security, but you can visit the Social Security website and see how they say to calculate it, and you can receive those. And so we come to the amount. People generally want you to give a general figure or a ballpark figure and so on, but it is very personal. And that's why retirement savings is a personal thing.
Yes, because it's personal to your lifestyle and the salary you were receiving.
That's right. That's correct.
Plus your other investment or whatever other assets.
Exactly. Yes, you're so correct. And this is like a process that, because in a general sense, financial literacy is not so high among our people, our families, our households. A lot of persons see this as hard work, but it's pretty easy once you understand, the concept that you're working with, and once you realize the importance of retirement savings. Retirement savings is different and important in relation to other types of savings, because then in those days you no longer have even the physical capabilities, but you are now in society's older, more golden years of citizenry. So you should prepare for it, so that when you are there, you will not be a burden on society. Social Security will help, etc. The pension plan, if you had it, will help. But you would have put aside some funds for yourself as well.
You mentioned Social Security, which I guess everybody who is working will have access to. You mentioned pension plans. What about individuals who are self-employed, who may not have a pension plan? How can these individuals prepare for retirement, or what can they do to ensure that they'll have enough saved to take them through retirement, to give them that comfortable life?
Right. Now, individuals who are self-employed, who are successful entrepreneurs, may be less challenged than individuals who are self-employed in small businesses, maybe mom and pop shop, as we call them, or small vehicle taxi service or something like that. The reason is that the entrepreneur builds a business, and that business has wealth, net worth in it that redounds to the individual. In terms of the preparation using Social Security, fortunately for most of the Caribbean countries now, the self-employed is able to make contributions. The law allows for contribution by self-employed into the Social Security scheme. And I would urge all persons who are not making contributions, to please put your house in order and start making contributions. This is extremely important. The Social Security amount is a base amount. You cannot depend in your future life, in your future years, you cannot depend on Social Security to cover everything you need. No, it will be a portion. This is what the state gives as a basic minimum. And so self-employed people also need they need our discussions even more than the employees, because employees, where there's pension plan, will join that. But Social Security people, they need, self-employed persons, beg your pardon, need to be very conscious and aware of that necessity to prepare now, while you are doing your business, while you put aside for yourself for today, put aside for yourself also for tomorrow. That's extremely important. And in a way, you need the support or the assistance of financial planners and and so on, so that we can help you if you are not yet able. But part of as a self-employed, expenses in your business should be the money that you put aside for the day when you cannot personally operate that business yourself, and you need still to continue living and paying for your lifestyle.
Mr. Francis, you have stressed the importance of preparing for and saving for retirement, and you're very passionate about this, obviously, and you have taken on the personal role of hosting a seminar to provide more information about the importance of saving for retirement and how people can go about undertaking this. What was your motivation? Tell us more about this webinar.
My motive really is to help persons to break down that taboo that retirement planning is so complicated, it's so hard, and that is so costly. I am making this webinar a point of experiment for all of us who will participate, in seeing that we really just have to think that we're preparing for tomorrow. How we do it, we have the capacity to manage it today. Let us begin to prepare. So I'm going to be given an awareness session, more or less. I do have a program where I actually teach about the techniques, and we have checklists, we have calculators, retirement planning calculators, savings calculators. These figures that we just run through here we put these in Excel spreadsheet with the spreadsheets are already prepared, and so that's a more in-depth workshop course, more or less, that we do on request. But the webinar is all awareness, and in the webinar, I would answer some of the very questions that you've put to me today. The 3 steps mainly that we'll be working through is we'd help persons determine how much you need. The same question was how much is enough for retirement. We'll go through the process and let you see how you can determine that. Then we would look at what decisions you should be making in this period that you have COVID, that you have all of that. Your children need extra things, you have to buy tablets in some countries, and so on. Not everybody will get scholarship and so. But you look at the decision you should make. Should you be refinancing your mortgage at this time? So I give the pointers as to what you should be focusing on to make those decisions at this time. The final step would be about the investment part, because compounding. We always speak about compounding and use of compound interest. And so I'm going to spend a few minutes explaining to people what that is, and I will actually give pointers for the calculators that people can use today. And so what to invest in, whether to invest in bonds, whether to invest in stocks and so on, we will speak a little bit about that. So those 3 steps, how to make whatever savings you have right now, what portion of it to put into investment, and where not to go with investments at this time, and where you can possibly go. This will be the webinar. It's on Thursday of this week, Thursday the 10th of September. But even for those who would miss the webinar, and your ECCB Connect, I know, is online all the time, a person can feel free to contact me, and we can, even in post of the webinar, find a moment, a way in which to help each other.
ECCB Digital Dialogues. The COVID-19 pandemic has highlighted the importance of the availability and access to safe and nutritious food. ECCB Digital Dialogues. Joint Governor of the ECCB, Timothy N.J. Antoine, the Honorable Minister of Agriculture in the Government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Sabuto Caesar, farmer and retired agricultural officer from Grenada, Teresa Maricho, and entrepreneur farmer from St. Kitts and Nevis, Daniel Arthurton, in a discussion on pandemic and food security as they explore the opportunities to revitalize agriculture and make it sustainable. ECCB Digital Dialogues, Thursday, 10th September, 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. on the ECCB Connect's Facebook page and your local radio stations. ECCB Digital Dialogues. Join the conversation as we take collective action to transform our region now.
To view any episode of ECCB Connects anytime, any place at your convenience, check us out on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn at ECCB Connects.
Here's where we end this week's episode of ECCB Connect. We invite you to join us tomorrow from 8 p.m. on our Facebook page for live streaming of ECCB Digital Dialogues, where we'll discuss pandemic and food security. Thanks for watching. Join us again next week for another